What if there was a shortcut to higher consciousness that was as easy as pressing a button? One that didn't take years of meditation, but instead tapped into something ancient, hidden, and backed by modern science. For thousands of years, civilizations have turned to psilocybin for spiritual awakening. And now, neuroscience reveals why. It doesn't just shift perception, it rewires your brain. Today, we're uncovering what history, science, and microdosing reveal about psilocybin's potential for your spiritual journey. But before we jump in, there's something you need to know. This video is for informational purposes only and does not promote or encourage the use of illegal substances. Always research local laws and consult a qualified healthcare professional before making any decisions regarding psilocybin. Now, let's get started. Before we dive into history, let's start with the basics. What exactly is psilocybin? Psilocybin is a naturally occurring psychedelic compound found in certain species of mushrooms. When consumed, the body converts it into psilocin, which interacts with the brain's serotonin receptors, altering perception, emotions, and even consciousness itself. But here's where it gets interesting. This isn't a new discovery. Ancient civilizations knew about psilocybin long before modern science could explain it. In fact, for thousands of years, it was seen as a sacred tool for spiritual awakening, not a drug, but a gateway to higher realms of consciousness. One of the earliest recorded uses of psilocybin comes from the Aztecs, who called these mushrooms teonanacatl, meaning God's mushroom, or flesh of the gods. To them, these weren't just plants. They were divine messengers, a direct link to the spiritual realm. Aztec priests and shamans used psilocybin in rituals to connect with divine entities, receive visions, and gain profound wisdom. But not everyone saw it that way. When the Spanish conquistadors arrived and witnessed these rituals, they feared the power of the mushrooms. To them, these ceremonies weren't spiritual, they were sorcery. In an effort to suppress indigenous traditions, they outlawed their use, forcing these sacred practices underground. Yet, despite centuries of suppression, the knowledge never disappeared. And the Aztecs were not the only ones. The Mayan civilization, known for its deep connection to astronomy, mathematics, and the cosmos, also left behind clues of psilocybin's significance. Archaeologists have uncovered mushroom-shaped stone carvings and other artifacts, suggesting that these sacred fungi played a role in their ceremonies. But the most enduring guardians of this ancient wisdom might be the Mazatec people of Oaxaca, Mexico. For centuries, their shamans have used psilocybin mushrooms in healing ceremonies and prayer rituals, not for recreation, but for deep self-exploration and spiritual connection. Even today, the Mazatec tradition lives on. In hidden corners of Oaxaca, shamans still guide seekers through mystical journeys meant to reconnect them with something greater. Were these ancient civilizations onto something? These cultures experienced the power of psilocybin without knowing exactly why it worked. Now, neuroscience is catching up, and what researchers are uncovering is nothing short of extraordinary. So, what actually happens in the brain when someone takes psilocybin? Scientists have discovered that psilocybin is converted into psilocin, which interacts with serotonin receptors, particularly the 5-HT2A receptor. This is the part of the brain linked to mood, perception, and consciousness itself. But here's where things get really interesting. Psilocybin doesn't just change what you see or feel, it rewires the brain itself. Studies using fMRI scans show that psilocybin reduces activity in the default mode network, DMN, the part of the brain responsible for your sense of self, your ego, and repetitive thought patterns. This is the same region that overactivates in people with anxiety and depression. When psilocybin quiets this network, it allows new neural pathways to form, increasing neuroplasticity. Your brain's ability to reorganize, adapt, and think in entirely new ways. In other words, psilocybin doesn't just shift your thoughts temporarily. It may actually break mental loops, dissolve rigid thinking, and open the mind to deeper awareness and connection. Now, if that sounds a lot like what happens during deep meditation or mystical experiences, You're absolutely right. Research at Johns Hopkins University and Imperial College London found that psilocybin can induce experiences nearly identical to spontaneous spiritual awakenings. Science can explain what happens in the brain, but what does it actually feel like to experience psilocybin? Let's hear from someone who has taken the journey themselves.
So then I lay down in my bed, I put my headphones on, I waited for about maybe 10-15 seconds, I'm not really sure, and then all of a sudden, it hit me like crazy. At first, I didn't really know what's going on, and I didn't like the effects for the first couple of minutes, but the longer I waited, the more stronger it got, and the more I started to like it. But I can tell you that it was really, really strong. It was really adventurous. It was really, well, fast moving. Lots of memories came up. I was flying in between. I was doing crazy stunts. It was really, really strong. I felt like I played the main role in my movie, and this movie was the craziest movie I could think of.
This is exactly why researchers are calling psilocybin one of the most profound tools for expanding consciousness. In fact, a 2006 landmark study published in Psychopharmacology found that 80% of participants who took psilocybin rated their experience as one of the most meaningful of their lives, on par with the birth of a child or the loss of a loved one. And what's even more remarkable, months later, many of them reported lasting improvements in their sense of purpose, well-being, and connection to the world. What do you think? Is psilocybin a real shortcut to higher consciousness, or are you skeptical? Let us know in the comments. Of course, not all experiences are positive, and that's exactly why psilocybin remains controversial. Let's take a look at the potential risks and what you need to know before even considering it. While many people report profound insights and emotional breakthroughs, others experience anxiety, paranoia, or even panic, especially in high doses or unfamiliar settings. This is often called a bad trip. And while not physically dangerous, it can feel overwhelming and distressing. Physically, psilocybin can temporarily increase heart rate and blood pressure, which may pose risks for individuals with cardiovascular conditions. Nausea, dizziness, muscle weakness, and drowsiness are also common side effects, making it essential to be in a safe environment. Another consideration is medication interactions, particularly with antidepressants, SSRIs, and psychiatric medications, which could alter psilocybin's effects in ways that aren't fully understood yet. Additionally, those with a history of schizophrenia, psychosis, or bipolar disorder should approach psilocybin with extreme caution, as it may exacerbate underlying conditions. And here's the exciting part. There is a way to experience some of psilocybin's benefits without the trip, and we're about to reveal how. But first, let's talk about something just as important. Is it legal? When it comes to legality, where you live matters. In the United States, psilocybin is classified as a Schedule I controlled substance, meaning it's illegal at the federal level. However, research into its therapeutic potential is changing laws rapidly. Oregon and Colorado have already legalized regulated psilocybin therapy, and cities like Denver, Oakland, and Washington, D.C. have decriminalized its use, meaning law enforcement no longer prioritizes personal possession cases. Internationally, places like the Netherlands, Jamaica, and Brazil have more relaxed policies, making psilocybin more accessible under certain conditions. Psilocybin is powerful. It's not something to take lightly, but it's also not something to fear. Understanding both its potential and risks empowers you to make informed choices. But what if you could experience its benefits without a full psychedelic trip? That's where microdosing comes in, a gentler, more controlled way to expand consciousness. Microdosing is the practice of taking a tiny, subperceptual dose of psilocybin, just enough to create a subtle shift in awareness without hallucinations or an altered state. Think of it as a gentle nudge, enhancing creativity, focus, and emotional balance while keeping you fully functional in daily life. Most protocols involve 1/10 to 1/20 of a full dose, typically on a structured schedule like the Fadiman protocol, 1 day on, 2 days off, while others take an intuitive approach. Many describe it as a shortcut to higher consciousness, offering greater presence, emotional resilience, and a flow state-like experience, similar to the effects of deep meditation. Over the last decade, it has gained popularity among entrepreneurs, creatives, and spiritual seekers looking to tap into psilocybin's potential without disrupting daily life. Emerging research supports these claims. A 2023 preclinical study published in Molecular Psychiatry found that repeated low doses of psilocybin reduced stress, improved resilience, and strengthened neural connections in rats, though more research is needed to confirm long-term effects in humans. That said, microdosing isn't a guaranteed instant enlightenment pill. Results vary, and while some experience noticeable benefits, others feel little to no change. Staying informed and intentional is key to navigating this space responsibly. Is psilocybin truly a shortcut to higher consciousness? A full-dose psychedelic journey can rapidly dissolve the ego, spark profound spiritual insights, and create life-changing experiences. But is faster always better? For those who want to explore these benefits without the intensity of a full trip, microdosing psilocybin offers a gentler, more integrated path. Instead of a single, intense breakthrough, it acts as a gentle yet effective turbo boost, helping you tap into higher awareness while staying fully engaged in daily life. If psilocybin can expand your awareness, imagine what happens when you activate the part of your brain that's been called the seat of the soul. No psychedelics required. Click to watch our next video and unlock the next level of consciousness. See you there.